welcome back to the RocaNews Show. This is the nonpartisan news show, the aggressively nonpartisan news show. We just tell you the facts for given stories, and today we've got some amazing stories to cover. We got the U.S. House vote on the Epstein Files, which had a landslide 427-1 result. We'll tell you about that one. We also have a new study that Billy and I kind of took personally that women want to leave the U.S., young women. About 40% say they would leave the U.S. if they could. So stay tuned for that. Then we got a big AI outage. And finally, the Meta lawsuit. Will Meta be broken up? Find out in this episode. I'm one of your hosts, Max Toohey.
I'm Billy Carney, and let's get into it. The U.S. House voted to force the Justice Department to release files related to Jeffrey Epstein 427-1 today. As we know, Epstein died in jail in 2019 while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. Reps Massey, who's a Republican, and RocaNews, a Democrat, introduced a discharge petition in July to force a vote on releasing the Epstein files. So President Trump had originally opposed this measure, called it a hoax. On Sunday, though, Trump reversed course and urged Republicans to release the files. Now, this has kind of been going back and forth. He recently withdrew his endorsement of Marjorie Taylor Greene on the subject. So as mentioned, the bill passed 427-1 with 5 people abstaining. House Speaker Mike Johnson announced his support for the bill. However, he added that the legislation is going to need some changes, some major amendments. He called it a political stunt by the Democratic Party and basically called on the Senate to change the bill to protect victims so they can remain anonymous, is what he said. The one abstention was Clay Higgins. Clay is a Republican from Louisiana, and this is what he had to say on the matter. I have been a principled no on this bill since the beginning. What was wrong with the bill 3 months ago is still wrong today. It abandons 250 years of criminal justice procedure in America, and as written, the bill reveals and injures thousands of innocent people, witnesses, and people who provided alibis, family members, etc. If enacted in its current form, this type of broad reveal of criminal investigative files released to a rabid media will absolutely result in innocent people being hurt. Not by my vote. Senator John Thune has yet to comment on the bill, and Trump said that he would sign the bill if it passes the Senate, though he actually technically has the authority to directly release the files already if he wanted to, as he did with JFK and MLK files. So that's our first story, Max.
Yeah, I've got a few comments on this. The first is that the fact that it was so overwhelmingly pro-file just speaks to the popular uprising and the weight of that. That RocaNews, Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and others have helped fuel and also exploit. They've all sort of scored political points off it. Marjorie Taylor Greene's done something of a bipartisan press tour. She appeared on The View. She's been around the block in the podcast circuit. And Thomas Massey has carved out sort of his own corner of the conservative ecosystem. Of course, he's a libertarian, and also some people who are sort of outside the partisan binary. But all that's to say is in podcast sphere, online, people have been just craving the release of the files. Now, some argue Clay Higgins is interesting. I mean, I don't know who does his press work because, I mean, he's like that must be the toughest job. That's got to be, there has to be classified ad for press secretary for Clay Higgins every single day because he has not helped himself with the rhetoric. One time he was confronted outside of his office saying, like, who do you like more, the U.S. or Israel? And he said, that's like asking, who do you like more, your mother or your daughter, which does not play well with all the conspiracies going around. But I think that, listen, I think that no congressman wanted to be, or woman wanted to be in Clay Higgins' shoes where they're like, wait, dude, do you like support pedophiles? But I think there's also a level of moral panic here. And I do think there could be this McCarthyist sort of wake here in terms of everyone who's roughly affiliated with the files. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein touched, and I mean that metaphorically, but a lot of people, and it's literal too, but I say that because, like, we interviewed Steven Pinker, the Harvard professor who's been with Epstein a couple times, and you can just imagine being in the files and that being the first thing for your name on Google the rest of your life. And in his case, I mean, is it possible he did wrongdoing? Sure, it's possible. Almost anybody in America did wrongdoing related to Jeffrey Epstein. But there's no evidence of it for him, and yet everywhere he goes, he has to answer these questions, and it's possible you just put next to him at a couple big Harvard fundraising dinners because he's an interesting, popular scientist, and Jeffrey Epstein's given a ton of money to Harvard. So I do think there has to be some sanity to what follows the release. It can't just be, you were once seen at a banquet with him, and it turns into that. So anyways, but I think that it's a triumph for political transparency, and the people clearly wanted it. And whether the Senate sort of preserves it all, I guess the last comment I'll have is I think that the true conspiracy theorists will never be satisfied, because you're basically saying, I think the deep state and the government and our politicians orchestrated this pedophile ring and protected it for years. But now I'm going to fully trust them to release the files in their totality. Do you really think that? And plus, people are making so much money off of Epstein content. I can't imagine everyone's going to be satisfied. So that's just a couple thoughts on, I think, the context as to why it was so overwhelming. I mean, 427, they couldn't pass a bill that's saying the sky's blue, 427-1. So we're in an interesting political moment.
Absolutely. So a few things I thought that you said were interesting. On the kind of generalized, like, you know, if somebody's in the files, if their name is mentioned once, it is going to be a big deal. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be, but like, there's theoretically going to be some people who are strongly implicated in serious crimes in these files.
Yes.
I would guess. There needs to be investigations into those, and
Right.
hopefully there will be.
Yeah, I could see this turning into the campus court trials of like the late 2010s and early 2020s, where there's just a little due process. So I think that we need to, as you said, Billy, have a sense of justice here. I know that might strike people as an odd tone. You know, I think a lot of people are very celebratory, but just, as much as our founding fathers loved democracy, they were also keenly aware of the tyranny of masses and how mobs can get out of control and there can be moral panics. And so, yeah, I would just temper whatever feeling of victory people have with, let's make sure we're reasonable about this, because I don't think a lot of people are being reasonable about this right now.
Yeah. And again, you know, I hope if there's some real stuff in here that it does get investigated, because sometimes it seems like crazy stuff happens and there's like no formal investigation.
Dude, well, that's true. But Billy, to be specific, because this keeps getting vague. Over the weekend, some rumor went viral on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube about how President Trump, I apologize, this might get a shadow banned, was blowing Bill Clinton. Bubba. And since then, it seems to be the case that Bubba was referring to someone else, but it basically uncovered email chains suggested this to be true. And I mean, I think some people are being unserious about it and joking and just playing into we can get Trump, let's get him here. But I mean, it went mega viral on TikTok, and there's just no evidence. I mean, it just...
So who is he blowing?
I don't know. Bubba.
Did you see the Alex Jones clip of him a few years ago talking about how there's like a picture of Trump blowing a guy and like it's going to be used as blackmail like in the future?
No way.
Yeah, like a decade ago.
Wow, I didn't know that. But
anyways, interesting point.
I guess, but my point is like, you know, I think people want bodies so badly over Epstein that I think they're just going to be willing to ride with these absurd stories. Like, there's no substantiation of this. Just like full.
Well, not yet. I mean,
not yet. But that's the American state. It's not guilty until proven innocent. It's innocent until proven guilty. And I feel like we've kind of lost that with Epstein Files.
Fair enough. I guess we'll see what happens. On the Trump point, did you see? There's a clip of him today on the Air Force One, and some reporters are asking him questions about it. And so there are these two female reporters like trying to ask him a question, and he turns to one of them and he goes, "Quiet, piggy."
Oh my goodness!
Not a great look.
Another fun press secretary job, President Trump.
Anyways,
Billy, my point is on like the Bill Clinton thing. Let me put it this way: everyone I've seen promoting it, I've seen lie or sort of casually report and misreport time after time after time after time in the last year. So it's kind of like, yeah, I'm going to call BS until there's evidence. So I guess we wait to see who Bubba is and if that exists. So anyways.
So we've got the skeptic and the theorist here.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Excuse me, that Red Bull didn't go down very well. All right. Well, Epstein, that'll be, I'm sure, in the news cycle for a very long time after this. So Trump said he'd sign if the Senate approves it. I wonder what's going to happen there because, one, he could have released them already. Two, I don't know. I mean, even if he were to veto it, I guess the Senate could override it, and it seems like political suicide to go against this right now, except for Clay Higgins.
Yeah,
doing the Chad meme in the corner.
I gotta love that 427-1.
All right, so. And this one may be a bit more relevant to our everyday lives. A new poll found that 40% of American women between 15 and 44 said that they would permanently leave the U.S. if they could. So the share of young women who want to leave the country has quadrupled in the past decade. In 2014, this number was 10%. Today, it is 40%. So this... essentially, this number began climbing in right before Trump took office for the first time, then continued through Biden's presidency, and now is 40%. So young women also, surprisingly to me, showed the steepest decline in confidence in national institutions. So that's this is of any demographic group. So that's trust in the government, the judiciary. Promise I can say it. The military and election integrity. And so that trust level dropped 17 points in the past decade among young women. And young men, by comparison, show far less interest in leaving the country. Only about 19% say they would leave permanently.
I'm pulled up an email that we got from a reader when we reported the story. He kind of views this poll as misleading in that he says, if they could leave the U.S., is kind of like unrealistic. Or sorry, basically he's saying that many of these people could leave the U.S. If what do they mean if they could? Obviously, they can. If you look at the cost of living in most other countries, it's much, much, much cheaper. And I don't know if they're just basically saying, I guess it's what does this mean? I mean, it's been rising, so there's clearly been some change.
I would assume people take that question, at least how I would take the question is if the barriers to do so were lower, maybe I didn't feel bad about leaving my family and friends behind or had an established system somewhere else.
Well, then I guess how anti-American is that? Unless they're basically saying...
I think the point is that it's gone up 4 times.
I guess the change. I also feel like this is very much... I don't know. I mean, to me, it's people are... who are saying this can easily get up and go tomorrow. They really genuinely can.
Yeah.
You can move to Canada. Go, move. No, I'm kidding. It's not one of those. I just, the only thing that annoys me is people acting like, well, it gets back to this cost of living debate we've had, where on the one hand, it is harder to buy housing and go to college and get healthcare for our generation than it was for our parents. And so those essential goods are more expensive. with that said, I also think there is a general level of laziness and sort of entitlement which, by the way, is reflected in various reports and studies among our generation that you don't get for our parents and grandparents. So I think both things are true. One, this strikes me as more of that latter reality, and that these people can leave the U.S. Nobody's stopping you. And if it's really about friends and family, I really wonder how many people just like the idea of saying they want to leave the U.S. if they could, but wouldn't actually do it. Do you really want to wake up tomorrow in Scotland? I mean, I don't know. I nothing against Scotland, but I think that people are ungrateful. I hate to sound like a boomer. I do think there's a level of just fundamental ingratitude. And I think the people I know who've seen a lot of the world and really seen it, they do recognize that every culture has unique and distinctive and great value. But they also recognize, and I've certainly come to realize this, that the U.S. is an amazing place to live. Go to France. Try to start a company in France. Good luck. Yeah.
It feels like a performative vote. I also think it takes a special person to be able to like leave the U.S. and start somewhere else.
Totally.
I mean, you travel abroad, and it's like, I mean, it's different, and in theory, it sounds so wonderful, and it is for a while. Oftentimes, not every time.
True.
But like living there,
dude, totally.
It's tough. Some people can do it. I personally cannot.
I mean,
can't do it.
And I admire. This is not like everyone needs to live in America. In fact, you should be lining up if you don't live in America. But my point is that really think about it. You like the idea of leaving America if you could. And okay, so you're kind of restricted to the Anglosphere. Most people are, because most don't know another language with fluency, and they'd unlikely be accepted in Japan if they learn Japanese, much less get a visa and everything. But okay, so you're stuck to the Anglosphere. So now you got Canada, you got the UK, you got Ireland, and you've obviously got Scotland within the UK. Australia. Okay, there's your options. And I think each country is wonderful. I would just question what you're leaving the U.S. for, because if you're going to the UK because Trump's not there, well, guess what? Keir Starmer, the current prime minister, has 18% approval rating, less than half of Trump's, and Reform UK is the most popular party. So you may be bouncing Ireland the next month. Ireland's having a right-wing insurgency. It's just like, where are you going to go?
I agree. I blame legacy media because I'm serious. Because
I like that take, actually.
Like, I mean, like the remember that initial like push against Trump? It was like he's a Nazi. The world's over. Yeah. The United States is burning into flames. It's like, all right. I mean, people. Maybe we'll survive. Anyway.
No, we won't survive. We're done. No,
all
dude.
Right.
Anyways, all right. Next story, Billy. That one I do like though, because it is. And by the way, if you're someone who did leave the U.S. and has found a home in another country, not only do I congratulate you, I'd love to hear about it. I mean, comment about it. Email us. I would genuinely love to hear about it. I've heard some success stories. I just think like people always act like they're straitjacketed. Someone's holding me back and it's not perfect. If you want to do it, do it. Instead of just saying like, well, it'll be hard, and Dancing with the Stars streams at like 8 p.m. Eastern, and I like that.
Calling out anybody in particular there, Max?
Nobody. I'm watching it tonight, so yeah, me.
All right, that's a choice.
Of course I know him. He's me, Star Wars meme. Anyways, back to you.
Okay, so next story. This morning, there was a Cloudflare outage, and Cloudflare provides security and traffic management services for about a fifth of the internet. So basically, there was a big network outage, big disruption, I think like 4-ish, 5-ish hours, and Spotify was hit, Amazon was hit, X was hit, OpenAI was hit. I know because I was trying to use ChatGPT this morning and couldn't, forgot how to function, didn't eat breakfast. That's a joke. So basically they said the outage was caused by a file that crashed, and it wasn't a hack. Sounds like somebody messed up internally, frankly, and there was no malicious activity, but a lot of websites were down. And this follows, of course, a recent AWS outage, the Microsoft Azure outage last month, and the big CrowdStrike crash last year that affected all those airports and hospitals. So, I actually was trying this morning to sign kind of a big contract. You probably know what I'm talking about. And I was trying to get ChatGPT and then Claude to analyze it, and they weren't working. So I had to go to Gemini. So our hands are in Sundar Pichai's palms.
Hopefully our lawyers aren't watching this. And by the way, are you insulted, Billy, that I didn't laugh immediately at the ChatGPT thing, thinking it might be real?
I was a little insulted.
Yeah, that
actually.
was bad. Okay, so I just learned something really interesting about this. So do you know one reason why Data Center Alley is in Northern Virginia is that it's pretty safe from it's one of the safest places in the country from natural disasters, which is kind of fascinating.
Wait, sorry, say that one more time.
One of the reasons, in fact, maybe the main reason that Data Center Alley is in Northern Virginia is that it's safe from natural disasters. Think about it for a second. If you look at different regions in the country, the Great Plains with tornadoes, the West Coast with earthquakes and forest fires, the Southeast with hurricanes, a lot of northern states with snowstorms and deep freezes and all that. Well, meanwhile, in Northwestern Virginia, you're insulated from the coast. Hurricanes don't really get up to northern, western Loudoun County, part of Virginia as much. And, of course, it's close to the government. That's another main reason. But, like, one of the reasons why it ended up being like, yeah, we could do it here is because it's safe from natural disasters. So I think these kind of, like, existential outage questions. Now, by the way, Amazon... Yeah, sorry?
What about, like, Michigan, where... maybe I'm an idiot. I don't think there are too many natural disasters there. And it's colder.
I think tornadoes.
These chips.
Dude, I think tornadoes in
tornadoes in Michigan?
In Michigan, yeah. Absolutely.
Really?
Bro, I don't think it's like every day, but they don't really get tornadoes in Northern Virginia.
I don't remember any at school. For context, Max and I went to Notre Dame, as you see behind us, which was in northern Indiana, like 10 minutes from Michigan. I don't remember a single tornado warning at school.
By the way, we had to go there because you can't buy alcohol on Sunday in the state of Indiana. Also, Notre Dame conference. Any thoughts? Kidding. Everyone's been roasting Notre Dame lately. Even though we beat Georgia, Indiana, and Penn State en route to a one-score loss in the national championship last year, but for another day.
Notre Dame's great value on a number one championship team right now. Go ahead, sir.
Exactly right. I totally agree. But anyways, back to this. Yeah, Billy, I mean, it is kind of wild to think as we depend more and more on AI. Now, I'm sure they're debugging it, and as much as we like to go after, at least scrutinize some of these companies, there are a lot of smart people there. I'm sure they're going to figure this out more and more. But yeah, I mean, I guess, I don't know. Like, we were just in Data Center Alley, and these massive data centers are only operated by like 6 people, apparently. Some of them have very few. Don't hold me to the 6 number, but we just talked to people around there, and it's like, yeah, they're not really creating jobs except for construction jobs because not many people work in data center. It's basically like overseeing a bunch of servers. So I don't know how these outages take place. Some I know are hacks. Others are just technical issues.
It sounds like it was a back-end issue. Like somebody pushed something on the development team that shouldn't have been pushed, and it got approved. And
it's kind of hilarious, though. Still like, uh-oh, boom.
I know. And you got to imagine there's a few rungs of delegation that has to go through. Okay.
Yeah.
Any comments before last story?
No, take it away to the last one. Meta.
All right. So basically, a federal judge, again, rejected an FTC bid to force Meta to sell Instagram and WhatsApp. Essentially, the judge ruled that the FTC still has not shown that Meta runs an illegal monopoly. And this has been a big case for a number of years now. But the FTC has argued since like 2020, I think that was the first time this case came about, was that Meta dominates the exact wording is personal social networking market. And by controlling Instagram, by controlling Facebook, by controlling WhatsApp, it's able to kill off any rivals that do PSNs or personal social networks. So basically the Judge James Boasberg, I think is how you say it, he kind of criticized that market definition. He said the FTC is not properly classifying Meta, and they haven't shown enough data that Meta should not be compared against like TikTok and YouTube and X, and that broader sphere would actually make it not a monopoly because it has all these other competitors. I kind of see the FTC's point here. I'm curious what you think, Max.
Yeah, well, first of all, if you all have heard the name Lena Khan, she's the former chairwoman of the FTC, and she first made that argument that Billy was talking about in 2020. and has long advocated, she's long advocated for this and pushed it aggressively for years now. And she's also kind of fascinating because she's a left-wing progressive, but Steve Bannon and others in Trump world, including the chairman of the FTC, who, as you may recall, went after Disney and ABC News pretty aggressively over Jimmy Kimmel, the martyr of free speech this year. Long story short, getting back to the specific case, I do wonder, I don't know much about James Boasberg, but I do feel like as experienced and as some of these older judges are, I just struggle to believe that he gets the intricacies of the social media market. And I do hate when, like, you'll be at a dinner party or something, and then one of your Gen Z cousins, like, people will be talking about, like, excuse me, I actually know social media, I use it. Like, you don't know social media just because you use it, but I think that if he really has to, like, learn about Instagram or WhatsApp and through, a deck that one of his sort of clerks prepares, that to me says, can you really be ruling in this case? Because, I mean, they do have an unbelievable grip on that sort of personal messaging, document your life, kind of personal social network. I mean, that's a perfect term.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I accidentally backed into that term. Maybe I'm like giving myself too much credit because it's obviously what Billy just said, but like it is that personal social networking thing. And I say personal because TikTok is not, as much like you DM your friends and you post stories of you in your lunch. That's more, Instagram and Facebook still, and then of course WhatsApp. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, they have a huge grip, and they bought a developed WhatsApp and a developed Instagram, and they just put it under their umbrella, and now they all have an economy of it, of scale. So
yeah, I think it's like you don't, as you said, you don't message your friends on like TikTok, YouTube X. You lurk and like shit post, frankly,
yes.
And like you don't talk to your friends. There's no, I mean, you kind of do, but it's like a personal connection. I would probably put Snapchat in the former and the personal social network, but the others, they're not. And you're right. I mean, Boasberg's 62. Can you really get it? I don't know. I think it's very difficult for the government to break up acquisitions that were previously either approved or not ruled on. Yeah. And I don't remember if they looked at these or not, but
I mean, they were approved. The Instagram acquisition, whenever that was, 2012, and then WhatsApp in 2014, both were approved. So
yeah, but I don't know if there were cases brought against them.
Oh, got it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, as Billy said, like you're not making on Instagram and Facebook, you'll have like a profile that says Billy Cardi, Notre Dame 2018, Bergen Catholic 2014. I doubt that would be your bio, but you have people like your real life picture, your real name, and your bio, even though some joke around with it, it's generally like a real thing. Versus on TikTok, X, and YouTube, most people use them as sort of anonymous, sort of entertain me accounts. So whether it's broken up or not, or better grammar will be whether or not it's broken up. You have to sort of follow the trend line that there's sort of more bipartisan populist antipathy toward, these large, massively valuable tech companies, especially those who've grown via acquisition, like Meta. So yeah, I mean, it seems like people are going to keep going after it. I wonder how else they're going to go after Meta, but I also think that, there's a reason they were all behind Trump on Inauguration Day. I think a lot of them knew they were on the chopping block. So
yeah,
I think it's like, as Bill Gates said, one of his regrets was not spending more time in DC. He learned how important it was.
True. And we have seen that Trump likes to give and do favors and whatnot. All right. Well, that's all wonderful. Thank you, Tucker Carlson, today.
Tucker Carlson came in clutch. Yeah, Billy, I mean, I think this was an interesting balance of stories. I kind of like this show format. If any of you have thoughts, I think it would be great to hear them. I know we've been leaning hard into deep dives lately, but I think kind of like compiling some of these really interesting stories and getting your thoughts on them, sharing our insights and some of our extra research into them. I hope it was an enjoyable show for you. It certainly was for us. I gotta say, dude, the women leaving the U.S. thing, I feel like we can look into more because maybe we should just interview women in our audience. We do have women in our audience to hear their thoughts on why women are looking to leave America and whether they're serious about it, and also what's holding them back. Because like, if you're in New York looking to leave America, I promise it's cheaper to live elsewhere. It's literally tied with Singapore for the most expensive city in the world. So,
Totally. If you are a woman, hit us up.
cricket.
Comment.
Insert cricket sound.
Email us. DM us.
Name a woman.
Name a woman. Name 10 women.
Name 10 women. Awesome, Billy.
Before we go.
Billy, can I just say great job
No.
reading the news?
No, great job to you. Great job to you.
Hey, dude, thank you, man.
Hey, do you want to show everybody your pen before we depart?
Yeah, so before this, I don't know where I found a Ritz-Carlton pen, but I like to bring it around. Billy and I were just presenting to Japanese news executives and advertising publishers in New York. Brought a pen, broke it in the meeting, and I feel very proud because I put it back together, and now it goes all the way out again, and it was broken. So
You're looking rich with the Ritz-Carlton pen.
Dressed up in a dress shirt. Dude, I got to play the part. You know what I'm saying,
New
man?
York in the background.
May I meet you?
May I meet you?
Yeah. The new
The
line.
billions are coming in. All right.
Great shit. Whoops, what I swear at the end.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks for watching. My mom's watching.